Hollywood may glitter on the surface, but behind the bright lights lies a world filled with heartbreak, especially when it comes to the sudden, devastating losses of some of Black Hollywood's brightest stars. Their deaths weren't just shocking, they shook the entire nation. From jaw-dropping overdoses and tragic accidents to the silent battles no one ever saw coming, these are the 22 Black actor deaths that were more than headlines. They were human lives, unfinished legacies, and truths that still echo through time. Prepare yourself. Some of these stories will shock you, some will break your heart, and others will leave you questioning what really happened behind the scenes. Let's begin. Tupac Shakur was never just a rapper, he was a rising Hollywood force, a cultural lightning bolt, and a voice that refused to be ignored. Born in New York in 1971, Tupac carried a rare kind of fire, the kind that made him unforgettable on a mic and undeniable on a movie screen. From Juice to Poetic Justice alongside Janet Jackson, to Above the Rim, he wasn't just acting, he was becoming a star. But at just 25 years old, everything changed in one violent moment. On the night of September 7, 1996, Tupac was in Las Vegas with Death Row Records CEO Suge Knight, riding in a BMW after the Mike Tyson fight. They stopped at a red light on East Flamingo Road, and that's when another car rolled up beside them. A gunman opened fire, a spray of bullets tearing through the night and striking Tupac in the chest, arm, and thigh. Suge was grazed by shrapnel, but somehow kept the car moving. Tupac was rushed to University Medical Center, where he fought with everything he had for 6 long days. But on September 13th, the world lost him. What makes his death even more haunting is what came next. No clear witnesses, no real answers, no justice. This shooting happened in the middle of busy traffic on a Vegas strip, yet the killer slipped into the shadows. Some believe it was tied to the escalating East Coast-West Coast feud. Others point to the violent encounter Tupac and his crew had with Orlando Anderson at the MGM Grand just hours earlier. But officially, the case remains unsolved. And that unsolved mystery only deepens the legend of Tupac Shakur, a star taken far too soon, and a voice the world still hasn't stopped hearing. The notorious B.I.G., born Christopher Wallace, was more than Tupac's rival. He was a once-in-a-generation talent whose voice could make a whole room freeze. Raised in Brooklyn, Biggie carried the rhythm of the streets in every verse, and he was just beginning to expand his gifts into film. He'd made his debut in Rhyme and Reason and had several acting projects lined up. Hollywood was ready for him. The world was ready for him. But Biggie never got the chance to see how far his talent could go. On the night of March 9, 1997, at just 24 years old, his life ended in a way that still haunts hip-hop. Biggie was leaving a Vibe magazine and Quest Records afterparty at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. He climbed into a GMC Suburban with friends, laughing, relaxed, unaware that danger was already tracking him through the streets. As they stopped at a red light, a dark Chevy Impala SS glided up beside them. The driver rolled his window down, lifted a gun, and unleashed a burst of bullets into Biggie's vehicle. Biggie was struck 4 times. He was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, but doctors couldn't bring him back. He was pronounced dead at 1:15 a.m. Just like Tupac's murder 6 months earlier, Biggie's case remains unsolved. Too many theories, too many secrets, and too many people who refuse to talk. What makes it even more tragic is that Biggie had been publicly trying to calm the East Coast-West Coast feud, trying to stop the very violence that many believe led to Tupac's death. Some say his murder was retaliation. Others blame corrupt cops. Some point to dark corners of the music industry. Almost 3 decades later, one thing remains certain: the world lost Biggie far too soon, and the truth behind his death is still locked in shadows. Aaliyah, a star so bright, the world barely had time to feel her warmth before it was taken away. Aaliyah Dana Houghton was born in Brooklyn in 1979, raised in Detroit, and performing almost before she could spell her own name. By her early 20s, she wasn't just rising, she was ascending. Her music was redefining R&B, and Hollywood had already taken notice. With breakout roles in Romeo Must Die alongside Jet Li and Queen of the Damned, Aaliyah was stepping into a new era of superstardom. But on August 25, 2001, everything stopped. After filming the music video for Rock the Boat in the Bahamas, Aaliyah and her team boarded a small Cessna 402B to return to Florida. She was uneasy about the aircraft, so uneasy she reportedly took a sleeping pill just to calm herself. And she had every reason to be afraid. The plane was dangerously overloaded, carrying 9 people on a craft certified for 8 and nearly 700 pounds over its weight limit. To make matters worse, the pilot, Luis Morales III, wasn't even scheduled to fly that day, and toxicology later showed traces of cocaine and alcohol in his system. Moments after takeoff from Marsh Harbor Airport, the plane crashed just 200 feet from the runway. Everyone on board died instantly. The world was shaken. Aaliyah was only 22, young, gifted, and just beginning the legacy she never got to finish. Her death didn't just break hearts. It left a scar on music and film, a reminder of how fragile brilliance can be. Chadwick Boseman wasn't just a movie star, he was a symbol of strength, dignity, and quiet heroism. To millions of kids, he was a real-life superhero. But behind the cameras, behind the flawless red carpet smiles, he was fighting a battle almost no one on Earth knew about. Born in South Carolina in 1976, Chadwick originally studied directing at Howard University, never imagining he would one day become the face of a global movement. He stepped onto Hollywood's stage with fierce talent, bringing legends back to life: Jackie Robinson in 42, James Brown in Get On Up, and Thurgood Marshall in Marshall. But then came the role that changed everything: King T'Challa in Black Panther. Overnight, Chadwick became a cultural icon, a source of pride for Black communities around the world. What the world didn't know was that around the same time he first put on the vibranium suit, Chadwick had already been diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. While the world admired his power on screen, he was quietly enduring chemotherapy, surgeries, and unimaginable pain, sometimes filming massive Marvel blockbusters just days after treatment. Captain America, Civil War. Black Panther. Avengers, Infinity War. Avengers, Endgame. He never complained. Never asked for sympathy. Never let anyone see the struggle. By 2020, the cancer had advanced to stage 4. On August 28th, at just 43 years old, Chadwick passed away peacefully at his home in Los Angeles. His family revealed that he had fought the disease privately for 4 long years, showing the same courage off-screen that he showed in every role. His death stunned the world because he never looked weak, never looked tired, never looked anything but royal. And for millions, especially in Black communities, losing the man who gave them their first Black superhero felt like losing a piece of hope itself. Chadwick Boseman didn't just play a king. He lived like one. Bernie Mac, the man who could walk into any room and make the walls shake with laughter. Born Bernard Jeffrey McCullough on Chicago's South Side in 1957, Bernie grew up tough, fast, and funny. Comedy wasn't just a talent, it was his survival. From neighborhood talent shows to smoky clubs, Bernie carved his name into the soul of stand-up. He exploded into fame as one of the original kings of comedy, standing shoulder to shoulder with Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, and Cedric the Entertainer. And when he got his own series, The Bernie Mac Show, America met the real Bernie, the unfiltered storyteller with the legendary line, "America, I ain't scared of you." His wild tales about raising his sister's kids became part of TV history. Hollywood loved him too. You saw him steal scenes in Friday, The Players Club, Life, Ocean's 11, 12 and 13, Transformers, and Soul Men. Bernie had that rare gift, big screen presence with real-life heart. But behind the booming voice and unstoppable energy, Bernie was fighting a quiet battle. For years, he lived with sarcoidosis, a rare disease that inflames the body, especially the lungs. In August 2008, Bernie was hospitalized in Chicago for severe breathing problems. What began as pneumonia worsened when his sarcoidosis flared, overwhelming his body's ability to fight the infection. On August 9, 2008, at just 50 years old, Bernie Mac passed away. His death shocked the world. He was still working, still laughing, still larger than life. No one could imagine a world where Bernie's voice went silent. But his spirit? His jokes? His heart? They're still echoing, because legends don't really leave. They stay with us every time we laugh. Michael K. Williams. A man whose face told a story before he ever spoke a word. Michael wasn't just an actor, he was a force. Born in Brooklyn in 1966, he came up fighting for every inch of his life. Before Hollywood ever knew his name, he was a dancer, grinding his way through the industry as a backup performer for stars like George Michael and Madonna. That hustle, that raw determination, shaped everything he later became. But it was Omar Little on The Wire that made Michael unforgettable. The shotgun-toting outlaw who whistled, the farmer in the Dell, and robbed drug dealers wasn't just a character, he was a cultural moment. And only Michael could play a man that dangerous with a heart that fragile. His talent carried him into powerful roles in 12 Years a Slave, When They See Us, The Night of, and Lovecraft Country, each performance deeper and more magnetic than the last. Yet behind the brilliance was a battle he never fully escaped. On September 6, 2021, Michael was found dead in his Brooklyn apartment at just 54 years old. The medical examiner ruled it an accidental overdose, heroin laced with fentanyl, the deadly drug that has quietly swept across America and devastated countless families. Michael had always been honest about his demons, admitting that stepping into dark characters like Omar sometimes blurred the line between his art and his own struggles. He fought hard. He got clean. He relapsed. He kept trying. Friends said he was in a good place again, working, planning, dreaming. That made the news hit even harder. His nephew discovered him in the living room of his Williamsburg home. And in that moment, the entertainment world didn't just lose an actor. It lost one of its most generous spirits, a mentor, a community builder, a man who opened doors for others long before he ever walked through them himself. Michael K. Williams left us too soon, but he left behind a legacy carved in truth, pain, and undeniable brilliance. Whitney Houston. The voice. The woman whose sound could lift a room, stop a heartbeat, and make the whole world believe in something bigger than itself. Born in Newark, New Jersey in 1963, Whitney grew up surrounded by gospel, harmony, and a family legacy dripping with talent. From the moment she opened her mouth in church, everyone knew this wasn't just a singer. This was destiny. She became a global phenomenon with anthems like I Want to Dance with Somebody, I Will Always Love You, and Greatest Love of All. Her voice wasn't just powerful, it was pure, emotional lightning. And when she stepped onto the big screen in The Bodyguard, Waiting to Exhale, and The Preacher's Wife, she proved she didn't just perform, she transformed. But behind the applause was a quiet war. Whitney battled addiction for years, an unrelenting struggle that slowly chipped away at her gift, her confidence, and her peace. And then came that heartbreaking day. On February 11, 2012, in a Beverly Hilton hotel bathtub, Whitney Houston was found lifeless at just 48 years old. She had come to Beverly Hills for Clive Davis's pre-Grammy party, a night she was once meant to shine at. The autopsy revealed she drowned after losing consciousness, with cocaine, heart disease, and traces of other substances contributing to the tragedy. Hotel staff discovered her underwater after she missed checkout. In those final hours, the world lost a voice that felt immortal. What makes it even more painful is this: Whitney had been fighting her way back. She looked healthier, more hopeful, more focused. Fans dared to believe she was stepping into a new chapter. But addiction is a storm that doesn't knock, it consumes. Whitney Houston left us far too soon. Yet her voice, her light, and her spirit remain untouched by time. And for many of us, she will always be the woman who taught the world how to love, just by singing. Bobbi Kristina Brown. Her story is one of the most heartbreaking echoes in modern Hollywood. A daughter destined for greatness, yet pulled into the same darkness that claimed her mother. Born in 1993, Bobbi Kristina grew up under the brightest spotlight imaginable, the only child of Whitney Houston and Bobby Brown. Viewers watched her on reality shows, saw her smile beside her parents, and hoped she would carry on her mother's legendary legacy. But behind the cameras was a young girl struggling to find herself in a world that demanded far too much. On January 31, 2015, everything shattered. At just 22 years old, Bobby Kristina was found face down and unresponsive in a bathtub inside her Roswell, Georgia home, a scene hauntingly similar to Whitney's final moments. Her boyfriend, Nick Gordon, called 911, but by the time help arrived, it was already too late. She was placed on life support, her family praying for a miracle as months passed with no sign of recovery. For nearly 6 months, Bobby Kristina lay trapped between life and death, moved from hospitals to care facilities as loved ones clung to hope. But on July 26, 2015, in a quiet hospice room in Duluth, Georgia, the fight was over. She never woke up. The medical examiner later confirmed what the world feared. She had drowned, and drugs, alcohol, marijuana, and several medications played a tragic role. The parallels to Whitney's death just 3 years earlier were almost unbearable. It felt like history repeating itself in the most painful way. Her family believed someone else's hands guided her toward that fate. They accused Nick Gordon of abuse, manipulation, and ultimately responsibility for her death. In civil court, Gordon was found legally liable and ordered to pay millions, though he always denied it. Bobby Kristina's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a sobering reminder of how fragile life can be when fame, trauma, and love collide. She was young, talented, and searching for peace, a peace she never found in this lifetime. Nate Dogg, the velvet voice of West Coast hip-hop. He wasn't just a hook master, he was the man who could turn a good song into an anthem with just one line. Born Nathaniel Dwayne Hale in Long Beach in 1969, he grew up alongside his cousins Snoop Dogg and Daz Dillinger, shaping a sound that would define an entire era. From Regulate with Warren G, to the next episode with Dr. Dre, to 21 Questions with 50 Cent. If Nate Dogg sang the hook, the record became unforgettable. His voice was smooth, steady, and unmistakable. Even when he stepped into acting, that same cool presence followed him onto the screen. But behind the fame, Nate was fighting a silent war. In 2007, he suffered his first stroke, a blow that affected his movement and speech. Still, he pushed forward, determined to return to the music that made him legendary. The following year, a second, more devastating stroke struck, forcing him into long months of rehabilitation. Even then, Nate Dogg refused to give up. He worked on new music, talked about performing again, and tried to reclaim the life that was slipping away. But on March 15, 2011, at just 41 years old, that battle came to an end. Complications from his strokes took a toll on his brain and heart, and his body simply couldn't fight anymore. Nate Dogg left us far too soon, but his voice, that calm storm that ruled a generation, still echoes through every timeless hook he ever touched. Heavy D wasn't just a rapper, he was the heartbeat of an era. Born Dwight Harrington Myers in Jamaica in 1967 and raised in Mount Vernon, New York, he brought sunshine into hip-hop at a time when the genre was still fighting to define itself. With his group Heavy D and the Boys, he delivered hits like Now That We Found Love and Somebody For Me, blending smooth rap with feel-good energy that made people dance before they even realized it. Fans loved him not just for the music but for the man himself. His smile, his swagger, his effortless dance moves. Hollywood noticed too. Heavy D lit up films like Life, The Cider House Rules, and Step Up, and he became a familiar face on TV, appearing in Boston Public, The Tracy Morgan Show, and more. Behind the scenes, he helped shape the next generation of artists as a producer and talent scout. Heavy D wasn't just performing, he was building a legacy. But on November 8, 2011, that bright light went out far too soon. While shopping at a Beverly Hills mall, Heavy D suddenly had trouble breathing. He managed to get home, but collapsed in the stairwell of his condo. Paramedics rushed him to Cedars-Sinai, but later that day, the world lost him at just 44 years old. The medical examiner revealed the heartbreaking cause, a pulmonary embolism, a deadly blood clot that had traveled from his legs to his lungs. Heavy D had deep vein thrombosis, likely worsened by a long international flight after performing in Cardiff, Wales. He seemed healthy, active, and full of life, making his sudden passing feel even more shocking. Heavy D left behind music that still moves us, a legacy that still inspires, and a reminder that even the brightest spirits can leave unexpectedly. His joyful presence changed hip-hop, and he left a mark no one has ever replaced. Paul Robeson Jr. carried a name that echoed through American history, and he spent his entire life honoring the weight of it. Born in 1927, he grew up in the shadow of a giant. His father, Paul Robeson, the legendary actor, singer, and civil rights warrior who electrified audiences in The Emperor Jones and Showboat. While Paul Jr. chose a quieter path as a computer engineer, his heart never strayed far from the stage that made his father immortal. Instead of applause, Paul Jr. dedicated himself to preservation. He wrote books, appeared in documentaries, and spent decades fighting to protect his father's legacy from the scars of the McCarthy-era blacklisting that tried to silence one of the greatest voices of the 20th century. His works, especially The Undiscovered Paul Robeson, remain some of the most intimate, powerful accounts of that era's struggle and resilience. Unlike many names on this list, Paul Jr. lived a long, full life. He passed away peacefully at 86 years old on April 26, 2014, in New York, after dealing with health issues that come with age. With his death, the world lost not just a historian, but the final living bridge to one of Black Hollywood's most iconic and influential figures. His passing truly closed a chapter in American cultural history. Sam Cooke, the voice that could calm a storm, and the man whose death still leaves a shadow over Hollywood and the music world. Sam wasn't just a singer, he was the smoothest voice of his generation. Born in Mississippi in 1931 and raised in Chicago, he went from gospel greatness with the legendary Soul Stirrers to becoming one of the first black crossover superstars of the 1950s. You Send Me, Chain Gang, Twistin', The Night Away. A Change Is Gonna Come. Every song became a piece of American history. And just as Sam was stepping into film roles and preparing to become a full-blown Hollywood star, everything ended. He was only 33. On December 11, 1964, at the Hacienda Motel in Los Angeles, Sam Cooke's life came to a violent, confusing halt, a moment that has been debated for nearly 60 years. That night, Sam left a party with a woman named Elisa Boyer. What happened next has never been truly understood. She claimed he tried to assault her and that she fled with his clothes to escape. Moments later, a half-dressed Sam, wearing only a sports jacket and his shoes, burst into the motel office looking for her. There he encountered the motel manager, Bertha Franklin. A struggle broke out. 3 gunshots rang out. Sam Cooke, the man who gave America its soul, died on the floor. Police quickly ruled it a justifiable homicide, but Sam's family, friends, and millions of fans have never accepted that explanation. Too many details didn't make sense. Too many stories didn't match. Too many things felt orchestrated. Was Sam Cooke set up? Was the official story hiding something deeper? Or did the truth die with him that night? For decades, his death has fueled books, documentaries, and conspiracy theories, because even today, the world still can't shake the feeling that the greatest soul singer of his time didn't just die, he was silenced. Otis Redding. A voice so raw, so powerful, it felt like it could lift you off the ground and break your heart at the same time. Born in Georgia in 1941, Otis came from almost nothing. He sang in church pews, talent shows, and anywhere people would listen, because even then, everyone knew that voice was going to change something. Before Aretha Franklin turned Respect into an anthem, Otis had already carved it into soul history. He gave us Try a Little Tenderness, I've Been Loving You Too Long, and a sound that felt like thunder wrapped in velvet. And just as Hollywood began calling his name, offering acting roles and a new chapter, his life was cut short in the most heartbreaking way. On December 10, 1967, at only 26 years old, Otis boarded a twin-engine Beechcraft with his band, the Bar-Kays, heading from Cleveland to Madison. The weather turned vicious, thick fog, freezing rain, visibility almost gone. As the pilot tried to land at Truax Field, the plane missed the runway and plunged into the icy waters of Lake Monona, only minutes away from safety. Otis died instantly, along with the pilot and 4 members of his band. Only one man survived, Bar-Kays trumpet player Ben Cauley, who was pulled from the freezing lake, clinging to life and the memory of his brothers. What makes it even more tragic? Just 3 days earlier, Otis had recorded Sittin', the Dock of the Bay. He never lived to hear it on the radio, never felt the world embrace the song that would become his greatest legacy. Months later, it climbed to #1, making Otis Redding the first artist in history to earn a posthumous chart-topping hit. A life gone too soon. A voice that still echoes. A legend who left the world his heart in every note. Florence Ballard. A voice born to shine, but forgotten far too soon. Florence wasn't just a member of the Supremes, she was the spark that helped create them. Born in Detroit in 1943, she grew up singing with a fire that could shake a room. As a teenager, she formed a little group with Diana Ross and Mary Wilson called the Promettes. No one knew it then, but those three girls would soon become the Supremes, the most successful female group of the 1960s. Florence had the powerhouse voice. She was originally meant to be the lead. But when Motown decided Diana Ross should take center stage instead, everything changed. Tension grew. The spotlight shifted. And the woman who helped build the group was slowly pushed to the side. Heartbroken and overwhelmed, Florence began struggling, missing shows, turning to alcohol, and fighting a battle she could never win. In 1967, she was forced out of the Supremes. She tried to reinvent herself as a solo artist, but without Motown's support, her career stalled before it even began. From there, Florence's life spiraled. Once a shining star, she ended up living in a small Detroit apartment, raising 3 daughters on welfare, battling health issues, and carrying the weight of a dream that had been taken from her. On February 22, 1976, at just 32 years old, Florence Ballard died from cardiac arrest caused by a blood clot, her body weakened by stress, poverty, and years of struggle. Her death shook the industry because people knew the truth. Florence had been a rare talent, a founding force behind Motown's greatest girl group. Yet she never received the support, the protection, or the credit she deserved. To this day, many believe Motown failed her, turning their back on a woman who helped build their empire. Florence Ballard's story is heartbreaking, haunting, and unforgettable. A voice the world should have protected, and a legacy that deserved far better. Rick James. A name that didn't just echo through the halls of funk music, it kicked the doors down. Born James Ambrose Johnson Jr. in Buffalo in 1948, Rick lived a life bigger, louder, and more electrifying than anything Hollywood could script. Before he ever touched a stage, he served in the Navy. But destiny wasn't calling him to the ocean, it was calling him to the spotlight. By the 1980s, Rick James wasn't just a star. He was a force. Super Freak. Give It to Me Baby. Mary Jane. Songs that didn't just top charts, they defined an era. Rick's swagger, his explosive personality, the flamboyant outfits dripping in gold and glitter. He was the man who walked into every room like the party had been waiting for him. And when he showed up on TV and in movies, he lit up the screen the same way he lit up the stage. But behind the shine was a darker rhythm. For years, Rick battled a brutal cocaine addiction that slowly pulled him into a spiral he could never fully escape. The lifestyle, the long nights, the heavy drugs, the endless pressure, took a toll on his body long before the world realized. On August 6, 2004, Rick James died in his Los Angeles home at just 56 years old. He was found in bed by his caretaker, and the medical examiner later revealed a heartbreaking truth. Rick's body had become a battlefield. Cocaine, methamphetamine, prescription drugs, layered on top of diabetes and years of damage. His heart simply couldn't take any more. Those close to him weren't shocked. They had watched him fight, try to get clean, relapse, and start the cycle again. Addiction had its claws deep in him, and he never fully broke free. Rick James lived loud, loved wild, and burned brighter than most. But like many geniuses, the same fire that made him unforgettable also consumed him. His legacy? A sound that still shakes speakers. A life that still sparks debates. And a reminder that behind every larger-than-life icon, there is a human being carrying battles we never see. Easy, a name that still echoes through the foundations of hip-hop. Before the world crowned him the godfather of gangsta rap, he was Eric Lynn Wright, a kid from Compton born in 1964, trying to survive a neighborhood where danger came with the sunrise. Street life shaped him long before the spotlight ever found him. But once it did, he changed music forever. Eazy co-founded NWA with Dr. Dre, Ice Cube, MC Ren, and DJ Yella, 5 young men who dared to say what America didn't want to hear. Together, they unleashed Straight Outta Compton, The Police, and a new era of unapologetic, street raw truth. Eazy's high-pitched voice, his Jerry curl, the shades, the attitude. He became a cultural force, a symbol of rebellion, and the heartbeat of West Coast rap. But behind the swagger, reality was waiting. In early 1995, Eazy checked into the hospital, thinking it was just asthma. Instead, doctors delivered a devastating truth. He had HIV, already advanced into AIDS. The news shocked the world. Eazy had never spoken publicly about being at risk, and just weeks later, on March 26, 1995, he was gone at only 30 years old. His death cut deep. Treatments were improving at the time, but Eazy never knew he was infected until it was far too late. In his final days, the man who once rapped about surviving the streets left one last message: get tested, stay safe, and protect yourself. Even at the end, he tried to save others. His voice is gone, but the legacy? Still louder than ever. Lisa Left Eye Lopez was the fire that made TLC unstoppable. The rapper, the spark, the heartbeat. She brought a wild creativity that no one else in 90s R&B could touch. Born in Philadelphia in 1971, she packed up her dreams, moved to Atlanta as a teenager, and joined forces with T-Boz and Chili to create one of the biggest girl groups in music history. Waterfalls. No Scrubs. Unpretty. If TLC had a soul, Lisa was the flame dancing at its center. But behind the bright colors, the playful swagger, and the unforgettable rap verses, Lisa was searching for something deeper. She had started acting, appearing in films like House Party 3, and was laying the groundwork for a bold, new solo chapter. She was outspoken, fearless, unpredictable, and unfiltered, the one member of TLC who could stir controversy with a single sentence. And she loved pushing boundaries. In April 2002, Lisa traveled to Honduras to film a personal documentary, a spiritual journey she believed would change her life. And for a while it did. She was recording with local musicians, detoxing from fame, and finding peace away from the spotlight. But on April 25th, everything changed. Driving a rented Mitsubishi Montero with 7 others on a narrow mountain road, Lisa swerved to avoid an oncoming truck. The SUV flipped violently, rolling again and again. Lisa wasn't wearing a seatbelt. She was thrown from the vehicle and died instantly from severe head trauma at just 30 years old. Miraculously, everyone else survived with minor injuries. Her death hit the world like a punch to the heart, sudden, brutal, and painfully ironic. At the very moment she seemed calm, grounded, and ready to begin a new creative era, she was gone. T-Boz and Chili were shattered. TLC would never again be the same. Without Lisa, her fire, her humor, her chaos, her genius, the group lost more than a member. They lost their sister. And the world lost one of the brightest, boldest souls R&B ever knew. Phyllis Hyman. A voice so rich, so velvet smooth, it could stop a room cold. Born in Philadelphia in 1949, Phyllis rose through the 1970s with a sound that was impossible to ignore, powerful, aching, and unforgettable. She delivered classics like You Know How to Love Me and the haunting Living All Alone, songs that still echo with the weight of her soul. Audiences adored her on the big screen in Spike Lee's School Days, and Broadway embraced her elegance in Sophisticated Ladies, where she moved with the grace of a queen. Regal. Effortlessly glamorous. Phyllis didn't just sing, she felt every note, and she made you feel it too. But behind the spotlight lived a storm she could never outrun. Years of battling depression and bipolar disorder quietly crushed her spirit, made heavier by the relentless pressure of the industry. To cope, Phyllis turned to alcohol and prescription pills, a dangerous mix that became her private escape from a world that demanded too much and understood too little. On June 30, 1995, just hours before she was set to celebrate her 46th birthday with a live performance, Phyllis was found in her New York apartment, gone at only 45. She left behind several heartbreaking notes, explaining that the pain had simply become too much to bear. Her death was a tragedy not just because she was young, but because she was brilliant, a once-in-a-generation talent silenced far too soon. And in the 1990s, when mental health was rarely discussed in the Black community, Phyllis Hyman was fighting battles most people never even saw. Her voice lives on. But the world will always wonder what more she could have given if the world had learned to listen sooner. LaShawn Daniels, the quiet genius behind the biggest voices in R&B. LaShawn wasn't just a songwriter, he was the architect of an entire era of sound. Born in New Jersey in 1977, he started writing music as a teenager, and before long, everyone in the industry wanted a piece of his magic. He co-wrote Say My Name for Destiny's Child. He crafted The Boy Is Mine for Brandy and Monica. He helped launch Jennifer Lopez's career with If You Had My Love. If you listened to R&B or pop in the 90s and 2000s, you heard LaShawn, whether you knew it or not. He worked with legends like Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Toni Braxton, names that shaped generations. And while he occasionally stepped into film and television, songwriting was always his sanctuary, the place where his brilliance lived. But on September 3, 2019, everything changed. LaShawn was driving along Interstate 85 in South Carolina when tragedy struck. The details of the crash were never fully released to the public, only the heartbreaking truth. He died at the scene. He was just 41 years old, still creating, still evolving, still shaping the sound of a new generation. The industry went silent for a moment. Tributes poured in from artists whose careers he had lifted, whose voices he had turned into anthems. He was the man behind the curtain. Fans might not have known his face, but they knew every beat of his work. LaShawn Daniels didn't just write songs. He wrote moments, memories, entire chapters of music history. And he left far too soon. Minnie Riperton, a voice so rare, it felt borrowed from heaven itself. Born in Chicago in 1947, she wasn't just a singer, she was a phenomenon. As a little girl, Minnie discovered she could reach a 5-octave range, hitting crystal clear, whistle-high notes that most people can't even hear. And when she released her iconic hit Lovin' You, the world stopped. Those floating, bird-like notes became her signature, a sound that belonged to no one else on earth. But Minnie was more than a once-in-a-lifetime voice. She was a rising actress, appearing in films and TV shows, ready to expand her gifts far beyond music. At home, she was a devoted wife to producer Richard Rudolph and a loving mother, raising 2 children, including her daughter Maya Rudolph, who would go on to become a beloved comedian on Saturday Night Live. Then came the moment that changed everything. In 1976, at just 29 years old and at the peak of her career, Minnie was diagnosed with breast cancer. Instead of stepping back, she stepped forward. She performed, recorded, and inspired, fighting the disease with unbelievable courage. She became a national voice for cancer awareness, encouraging women everywhere to get checked and trust their instincts. But despite her strength, the cancer spread. On July 12, 1979, at only 31 years old, Minnie Riperton's extraordinary journey came to an end. She left behind her family, her children, and a world that wasn't ready to lose her. Her death remains one of music's most heartbreaking losses, because Minnie still had so much more beauty left to give. Her voice may be gone, but the magic she created? That will never fade. Donny Hathaway, a man whose voice felt like a prayer, and whose piano keys sounded like a heartbeat. Born in Chicago in 1945, Donny was a child prodigy, playing piano at just 3 years old, already carrying the soul of a full-grown musician. He earned a scholarship to Howard University, where his talent exploded. Soon the world heard masterpieces like The Ghetto, Where Is the Love, and the timeless holiday classic, This Christmas. His duets with Roberta Flack weren't just songs. They were lightning in a bottle, the kind of magic that only happens once in a generation. Donny even began stepping into acting, a new path he seemed destined to master just as he had mastered music. But behind the brilliance was a battle he never asked for. Donny struggled with severe mental health challenges, including depression and schizophrenia, shadows that grew heavier as fame pressed down on him. Friends described moments of deep paranoia, sudden fear, and a loneliness even music couldn't soothe. On January 13, 1979, at the Essex House Hotel in New York City, tragedy struck. Donnie fell from the window of his 15th floor room. He was just 33 years old. His death has haunted fans and investigators for decades. Was it suicide brought on by the torment he lived with? Or was it a tragic accident during a moment of confusion? No one truly knows. What we do know is this: Donny Hathaway left us far too soon. His voice, his genius, and his gentle spirit created music that still touches hearts today. He was a rare soul, fragile, brilliant, and unforgettable. Dalla was the kind of young talent Hollywood rarely gets twice. Born Roderick Burton II in Chicago in 1987, he carried that raw Midwest hunger all the way to Los Angeles as a teenager, determined to make something bigger of himself. And he was doing it. He had signed with Akon's label, was crafting his debut album, and had already begun slipping onto TV and movie screens with a presence that made people say, "This kid is going somewhere." He had a look, a sound, an energy that felt ahead of its time, high-voltage performances, catchy hooks, and a confidence that made him stand out in every room he walked into. Dalla wasn't just chasing a dream, he was catching it. But on May 18, 2009, everything stopped. Dalla was at the Beverly Center Mall in Los Angeles with friends when gunshots exploded across the parking structure. It was broad daylight. Families were shopping. People were walking to their cars. And in the middle of it all, a 21-year-old rising star collapsed to the ground, shot and killed by someone he reportedly knew. Police later arrested a man named Aubrey Berry. They had history, a conflict that no one ever fully explained. The motive? Still unclear. The loss? Impossible to measure. Dalla's death shook the industry because he had worked so hard and come so far. He had collaborated with major artists, built a loyal following, and was on the edge of releasing the music that would have defined his career. But one senseless moment of violence took everything from him. His future, his voice, his chance to rise. If any of these lives stirred something in your heart, honor them by keeping their stories alive. Share your memories, your prayers, and the moments you'll never forget in the comments. And if you want to help shine a light on the legends who paved the way, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Their legacy lives on through us and through you.